today, I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable. Get things out of your lap so you can firmly place your feet onto Mother Earth. And as we begin taking in some deep breaths and letting them go, we can begin to feel our body relaxing and responding because it knows this is our time. This is our time to be fully present to Spirit. Breathe in that beautiful breath of God, and we allow ourselves to rest, to let go of any thinking that our mind wants to do and just become fully present here. Breathing in that breath of God and feeling our shoulders relax. Taking another deep breath in, and we let it go. Those beautiful words. We are holy, holy, holy. We are whole. As we breathe in that breath, we can feel our heart expanding. See that breath going in and out of your heart space. As you breathe in and out through your heart space, you can feel that love that is in you, accepting those words. I am holy. Accept those words for yourself as the truth of you. I am holy. I am whole. Right here, right now, in this present perfect moment. I am whole. I am complete. I am the presence and the power of God in the flesh, expressing as much of God consciousness through me as possible, through my Christed beingness that lives in and as and through me. Breathe that in. We are holy. We are holy. We are whole. There is nothing that we need outside of us. Everything that we need lies within us. That still small voice, that sacred space of the Christed beingness within us resides in us, guides us, directs us. We are filled with light and love, wisdom, peace, all the things that we need to do that which is ours to do every single day. We have all the powers and the strength. We just need to remember to tap into that. We need to remember how powerful we are. We are not victims of circumstances. We are powerful co-creators with God within us to bring into expression only the gifts that we can bring, only the special ways in which we can show up. You are holy. You are holy. You are whole. God expressions here in this incarnation to bring your light, to help the vibration of this planet be raised from the light that you are, the love that you came here to be. We are holy. We are whole right here, right now. So I invite you in a moment of silence to feel that. Feel that presence of love in your heart space now, in the silence. We are so grateful that we have these teachings, this innate wisdom that we have, this intuition that we receive, the discernment that we're able to do about the decisions in our lives that come to us with ease and grace when we make those choices from our Christ self. And so we say, thank you, indwelling Spirit, for this little remembrance of just how precious and special we all are. And now, whenever you're ready, I invite you back into the sanctuary, into the room in which your physical body is present. And whenever you're ready, just open your beautiful eyes. Cultivate wisdom. I absolutely love that word, cultivate. You know, my mom's dad, my grandpa, was a school teacher all of his life, and when he retired, he became a farmer. He had like 32 acres in McQueeney, Texas, and he grew all kinds of things. And I love this idea of cultivating, because what it means is that we're not going out here to find our answers. We're cultivating from the wisdom that lives in us. We're becoming aware of all the gifts and talents that we have to do that which is ours to do in this incarnation. And so we're not seeking support from the outside. We're remembering that wisdom lives inside of us. So this past Friday, I had an opportunity to be on a Zoom call with Joy and about 5 or 6 other people in a global peace activation where 150 countries gathered to create a 24-hour experience of peace. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. So I know that, there are many of us cultivating peace in our lives, for one thing. We're looking for more peace, aren't we? The women's group yesterday, they spent a designated amount of time learning about the mastermind prayer principle and supporting each other and learning that prayer process. That is grounding them, you see, in the knowing of how prayer works and how we support each other with our prayers as well. All of these things are tools that we have to cultivate the wisdom that we already know. When we realize this presence and this power that lives in us, and when we live from that, we lift up the entire planet with our vibration. So we have a new theme, and we have a beautiful slide that Eva did, our 6th grader. Isn't it sweet? Our August theme is Flow with Wisdom, because we're studying the power of wisdom this month. So let's say our affirmation together. Infinite wisdom flows through me and reveals right action now. Isn't that beautiful? She does such a great job, she and AJ both. So our central message for today is that wisdom is one of the 12 innate faculties that Charles Fillmore discerned is God faculties that live in us as well. But it's something not that we acquire, because it's the faculty that's already within us. We cultivate wisdom by turning inward and listening for our guidance and following Spirit and allowing that divine understanding to guide our thoughts and our choices and our actions so that we make good choices for our lives, that we step forward through whatever it is, making that wisdom be the foundation. Jesus demonstrated that true wisdom is more than intellectual knowledge. It's not about how much you have in your head. It's living from spiritual awareness. You see, we don't create wisdom. We just cultivate that awareness that it's already there. We become aware of it and we rely on it. We know that wisdom is already within us. So one unity perspective that I really like is Reverend Linda Martella Whitsitt has this book, Divine Audacity, where she says that wisdom is the power of judgment, discernment, and intuition. Wisdom is compared to knowledge, but we're not speaking of intelligence here. She says wisdom is applied knowledge, our decision-making capacity through mental evaluation, spiritual discernment, and moment-by-moment intuition. Right? Wisdom is our capacity for right discernment. Reverend Nancy spoke about this a little bit last week. She said, we know the wisdom because we feel it in our gut, don't we? We feel when something's right. That's our wisdom speaking to us. If it feels not so good, then we know not to do that. Think again. Pause, right? Our intuition is always right. It is that still small voice that gently taps and guides us all the time. And divine wisdom becomes clearer as we quiet our minds and open our hearts. So we have to be still enough to be able to hear it. So, we interpret the Bible metaphysically. And so today we're in James in the New Testament, chapter 1, verse 5. If any of you is lacking in wisdom, ask God, who gives to all generously and ungrudgingly, and it will be given you. You've heard Jesus say that. Ask and it will be given, right? You have to ask. And in this situation, ask God means turning inward because of divine mind. We are all part of one mind, one heart, right? We're all part of this magnificent mind of God. And so the wisdom lies within us. Interestingly, the name James metaphysically is interpreted to mean judgment in individual consciousness. Now, this is not about judging other people. We're not talking about that at all. Wisdom is essential to the exercise of good judgment as we're making choices in our lives, as we're discerning what is ours to do and also certainly what is not ours to do. That may be more important than the other one. As well as it also helps us to gain patience. So who can use a little bit more of that, right? I mean, we want to be patient and not judge. So we are not asking for something that we lack, but we're awakening to that wisdom within our Christ nature that is part of our being. We're made in the image and likeness of God, so all that we need is already there for us. So prayer is what opens our consciousness to receive what's already available. And Jesus modeled for us what Spirit-led wisdom looks like. Throughout the Gospels, he continually withdrew to pray before making major decisions, such as choosing the 12 disciples. He prayed before that. He responded with compassion rather than judgment because he stepped aside first and thought about things prayerfully. He remained peaceful during times of conflict, and he used parables for teaching. And those parables were easier for people to understand, stories, and it stuck with them, and they remembered it, and then they could retain the teachings that he was trying to impart. Jesus listened before he acted, and you see, we can do this as well. We can be mindful before we open our mouths and say something we're going to be sorry about later. We can be mindful. Our greatest decisions are not made from pressure or fear, but from prayerful awareness, from being in that place, that grounded place that we are right after meditation. You feel it? You feel that presence and the power of God that you are. So I want to ask you to ask yourself this, when you come upon something, what choice expresses my highest self in this moment? How can I be my highest self? And sometimes we were talking about it in the book study this week. We call it self on a shelf. When our higher self is looking down on us, when we know we're about to judge or do something, we consult self on the shelf first. It's like, what would Jesus do? Remember we talked about that. What would Jesus do in this situation? And then we make that decision based on love first, right? When our lives are built on divine wisdom rather than appearances, we remain centered regardless of whatever circumstances are unfolding in our lives. And isn't that important to have that skill right now? To be centered and grounded and to know who you are, to be confident of who you are, to know that God is in everything always unfolding. You don't have to worry and sweat whatever is appearing in your life. You know God is in it. And this gives us peace, doesn't it? But when we don't have peace, when someone says or does something that grates on us, that gets on our last nerve, that bothers us so much that we can't find the peace to just immediately forgive in that moment, we get upset over something. In these times is when we have the most difficult time remembering that we have divine wisdom, that we have divine love, that we have all these tools in our toolbox, all these powers within us to overcome whatever is going on. So I have this friend, Reverend Bronte Colbert. She's another Unity minister, and this is what she says she does when she gets in that state and she can't calm herself down. She says she loves to reread the words from Paramahansa Yogananda that says, "Steer the ship of concentration calmly to the shores of blessedness." Don't you love that? So you know what that is? That's principle 3 in unity. I am, I think. What are you thinking about? What are you concentrating on? What are you putting your focus on? What are you giving your energy to? So she's saying, steer the ship of concentration calmly to the shores of blessedness. Isn't that a better place to be, right? She also says she stuck a card on her mirror. Reverend Edwin Gaines always says this is a way to kind of help keep reminding yourself. I love her prosperity teachings. Edwin Gaines said this: I act on the guidance, intuition, good impulses, and inspiration I receive. I act on it because you know it's right. When it's your wisdom from within, you know it's the right thing to do. And lastly, she said, she refers to Emily Cady's book, Lessons in Truth, which is a foundational teaching of unity, where she says this: God is in everything that happens to you. There are no second causes, Emily Cady says. She said, Bronte said, I sat with these truths and I repeated, every life experience blesses me. Every life experience blesses me. Can you feel the power in the words? She said, I felt a shift and a welcome letting go. This, you see, is practical Christianity. That's what unity is about. It's about not just giving you information, but giving you tools. Tools. So that's principle 1 that we just said. God is all there is. God is the first principle of unity. So what are you sweating the small stuff for? If God is in the midst of this, all of this is unfolding somehow for our highest and best, even when it doesn't feel good in the moment, right? So how can we cultivate wisdom on an everyday basis? Well, it grows through spiritual practice. It grows when you're becoming more aware, when you're using your spiritual tools. We have lots of tools in our spiritual toolbox, don't we? The first, number 1, of course, is prayer, daily prayer. It doesn't have to be like you sit someplace for hours and pray or meditate. But use prayer as a spiritual practice every day of your life. I want to share one with you that I ran across this week that my colleague Reverend Patricia Bass had put out on the internet during the pandemic, because she felt like there were so many unity churches, many churches struggling. And this is what she said. It's a simple prayer, and I absolutely love it. Let our despair call forth wisdom. Let wisdom move us into action. Let action transform our world. May grace and love enfold us all. Amen. Sweet, simple, right? To the point. So, in order to meditate, you need to have some silence. So you've got to power down the devices and have some quiet time every day. I don't care if it's just 5 minutes, but if you just step aside from the busyness of life and give yourself a break and breathe and do like we do in meditation, just open your mind and open your heart. And then spiritual study is also important. These book studies that we have, these classes, we're getting ready to do metaphysical Bible interpretation. Reverend Eileen's gearing up for that. If you read your daily word, if you read Spirituality and Health, I know some of you love that magazine. Many free publications sit out there for you to come and take home and don't bring back. Take them home and read them. Pass them on to someone else. And if you listen before you speak, so important to pause, isn't it? Whew. Can save us a lot of heartache later. And responding instead of reacting, this is what our divine wisdom does for us. We learn how to respond and not react, remembering to take that sacred breath first. You see, as wisdom matures, it naturally expresses itself more through us as peace, as patience, as discernment, as compassion, as good judgment, humility, and also confidence rooted in God. Wisdom helps us bless rather than blame, forgive rather than resent, and trust rather than fear. So in conclusion, the world often celebrates being informed, but Spirit invites us this day to be transformed. Knowledge fills the mind, but wisdom is what opens our heart. Wisdom opens our heart. So as we cultivate this divine power, we discover every circumstance can become a classroom for our spiritual growth. We're here in Earth School, don't you know? Our soul brought us here to learn things. So this is a classroom. So pay attention. I love what Emmett Fox says in Around the Year. He says, God in you is greater than any difficulty that you have to meet. You worship God by recognizing his presence everywhere, in all people and conditions that you meet, and by praying regularly. This is how you transform your life. So my invitation to you this week is, before making any big decisions, pause. Pause a moment and take that sacred breath and become still and ask, Divine Wisdom, what would you have me know? What would you have me know in this moment? Ask. And then you have to trust that that gentle guidance that arises is the right and perfect thing for you. And that's the way it really is. God bless. Time for a joke. Okay. So this man walks into the Department of Health, the Board of Health. He says, I need some help. I have 3 brothers. We all live in the same room. One has 5 cats. One has 5 dogs. The other one has a goat. And it is smelly in there. And the man from the Department of Health thinks for a minute, and he says, well, have you thought about opening the windows? And the guy said, what? And lose all my pigeons? Yep. There's a few animals in that household, isn't it? All right, I'm going to close today. You know, we just finished this beautiful book, Understanding Your Soul, the Channel Wisdom of Jesus, and now we're moving into Christine Bush's next book about creating your life. But we finished this book, and this is one of the paragraphs that we read that just resonated with me. So I want you to just sit, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to hear these words that Jesus is speaking through this channel. You know how glorious your soul is, how powerful your soul is. You know you are on the right path of spiritual seeking. You know you are doing what your soul wants you to do. And what could be better than knowing that? Material things pale in comparison to the knowledge that you are doing what your soul intended you to do. You are not there to accumulate material things. You are there to expand your soul. And that is what you are doing. That is a glorious thing, and that is why this room is lit up with light. You know you are surrounded by unconditional love. No matter how hard a challenge is that you may be facing, you know you can do it. That you are surrounded by love and that your soul is with you as you are facing it. My dear ones, move forward in joy, move forward in peace, move forward in kindness, move forward in love, move forward with many, many blessings. And that's the way it truly is, folks. God bless. Thank you so much. All right, great. And now we have this opportunity to bless our gifts. Before we sing this beautiful song, we're going to bless all the ways in which prosperity flows in and through this ministry. So let's say this together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, that this is so.